Captain Lee Dongwu stared at the star map floating above his desk, his coffee growing cold as confusion settled in his mind. The holographic display showed the known galaxy in brilliant detail. Trade routes marked in blue, alien territories in various colors, and neutral zones in gray. But something was wrong. Very wrong. Where human space should have appeared on the map, there was nothing. Not even empty space markers. Just a blank void. As if that entire section of the galaxy simply did not exist. This has to be a mistake, Dongwu muttered, switching to a different map database. The Volari Crystalline Union's official navigation charts appeared next. Same thing. Then the Nethran Ocean Empire's maps. Still nothing. The Kythera Hive territories showed the same blank space where human colonies should be. His ship, the Horizon's Edge, was currently docked at Centauri Trade Hub, the busiest commercial station in this part of the galaxy. They had come here on a routine diplomatic mission to negotiate mining rights for rare crystals. But now this discovery made everything seem different. Dongwu pressed his communication button. "Dr. Park, please come to my ready room. We need to talk." Dr. Park So-young arrived within minutes, her lab coat still dusted with mineral samples from her research. She was the ship's science officer, and one of the smartest people Dongwu had ever worked with. Her expertise in alien cultures and star charts made her the perfect person to help solve this mystery. "What is it, Captain?" she asked, settling into the chair across from his desk. "Look at this," Dongwu said, gesturing to the holographic display. "Every alien star map I can access shows the same thing. Our space, all of human territory, and appears as empty void." Park leaned forward, studying the display carefully. Her eyebrows rose as she flipped through different maps. "That's strange. Let me check our own navigation systems." She pulled out her tablet and connected it to the ship's computers. "Our maps show everything normally. Human space, alien territories, everything is where it should be." "Exactly," Dongwu said. "But look at this trade manifest from the Kythera." He brought up a shipping document. They list Earth as a destination, with proper coordinates and everything. They know where we are. They trade with us, but their maps don't show us, Park frowned. Maybe it's a security measure. Some species keep military information off their public charts. "I thought that too," Dongwu replied. "But I accessed everything I could. Military databases, scientific surveys, even tourist guides. Nothing. Every single alien civilization acts like human space is an empty region of stars." They spent the next hour going through databases from every major alien species. The result was always the same. Coordinates existed in communication logs and trade records. Diplomatic messages were sent to human worlds. But visually, on every single map produced by non-humans, that space was blank. "We need to test this," Park said finally. "Let's talk to Crystal Singer Thane. As our Volari liaison, he should be able to explain their mapping systems." Crystal Singer Thane was waiting for them in the diplomatic meeting room. The tall, thin alien had skin that looked like living crystal, shifting between blue and purple as light hit it from different angles. His species communicated through harmonic vibrations as much as words, giving his voice a musical quality. "Captain Dongwu, Dr. Park," Thane said, his crystal body chiming softly as he moved. "I hope your stay at the trade hub has been pleasant." "Very pleasant, thank you," Dongwu replied. "But we have a question about your navigation charts. We noticed that our territories don't appear on Volari star maps." Something strange happened to Thane's expression. His crystal skin flickered rapidly between colors, and he seemed to pause for longer than usual. When he spoke, his voice sounded different, less musical, more flat. "Your territories?" Thane asked, tilting his head. "I am not sure what you mean." "Human space," Park explained. "Our colonies, our homeworlds. They don't show up on your maps." Another long pause. Thane's crystals went completely clear for a moment, something Park had never seen before. "Those regions are unimportant to galactic commerce," he said finally. "We focus our charts on areas of trade significance. But we trade with you regularly," Dongwu pointed out. "Earth alone exports millions of tons of agricultural products to Volari worlds every year." Thane's response was immediate, almost like a reflex. "Yes, of course. Trade arrangements are handled through proper channels." But then he quickly changed the subject. "Perhaps we should discuss the mining rights agreement. My superiors are eager to finalize the crystal extraction contracts. They tried several more times to bring up the mapping issue, but each time Thane deflected or gave vague answers. It was as if the question itself made him uncomfortable, though he seemed unable to explain why. After the meeting, Dongwu and Park returned to the captain's ready room. They sat in silence for several minutes, both trying to process what they had witnessed. "That wasn't normal," Park said finally. "Thane is usually very direct and helpful, but when we asked about the maps, he acted like the question confused him." "More than confused," Dongwu agreed. "It was like he couldn't think clearly about it." "Did you see how his crystal skin went completely transparent? I've worked with Valari for years, and I've never seen that before." Park pulled up her notes on Valari psychology. Transparency in Valari crystal skin usually indicates mental stress or confusion, but not the kind of confusion you get from not knowing an answer. It's the kind you get when your mind is trying to process something that doesn't make sense. "So what are you saying?" "I think there's something preventing aliens from properly seeing or thinking about human space. Not just on their maps, but in their minds." Dongwu leaned back in his chair. The implications were staggering. "If that's true, then this goes far beyond simple cartography. We're talking about some kind of mental block affecting entire civilizations." "We need more information," Park said. "We need to find out if this is happening everywhere with every species. And we need to figure out why." Dongwu nodded grimly. What had started as a simple observation about star maps was turning into something much larger and more mysterious. He had a feeling their routine diplomatic mission was about to become anything but routine. "Send a coded message to Earth," he ordered. "Tell them we've discovered something that requires immediate investigation." "And Park?" "Yes, Captain? Let's keep this quiet for now. If there really is some kind of mental influence affecting alien species, we need to understand it before we do anything that might change it." 2 days after their disturbing meeting with Crystal Singer Thane, Captain Dongwu received an encrypted message that made him smile for the first time since discovering the mapping anomaly. Kim Jae-ho was coming to the trade hub. Jae-ho was exactly the person they needed, a former military intelligence officer who had left service to become an independent trader. He had contacts throughout alien space that even official diplomats envied. More importantly, he asked the right questions and knew how to get answers without raising suspicions. When Jae-ho arrived aboard the Horizon's Edge, he looked like any other human trader. Casual clothes, a worn leather jacket, and the kind of easy smile that made people want to trust him. But Dongwu knew that behind those friendly eyes was one of the sharpest minds in human space. "So," Jae-ho said, settling into a chair in the captain's ready room, "your message mentioned something about maps and mental blocks. Sounds like the kind of problem that keeps intelligence officers awake at night." Dr. Park activated the holographic display, showing him the alien star charts. Jae-ho studied them carefully, his expression growing more serious with each map. "I've seen this before," he said finally. "Not the maps themselves, but the behavior. 3 months ago, I was negotiating a shipping contract with a Nethran trade commissioner. I mentioned that my route would take me through the Sol system. Just casual conversation. The commissioner looked at me like I had said something in a language he didn't understand." "What did he say?" Dongwu asked. "That's the strange part. He didn't say anything. He just moved on, like I hadn't spoken at all. At the time, I thought maybe my translator was malfunctioning, but now—" Jae-ho gestured at the maps. "Now I think something else was happening." Park leaned forward. "We think there's some kind of psychological barrier preventing aliens from properly perceiving human territory. But we need more evidence." "I can help with that," Jae-ho said. "I have someone deep inside Cathara space who might have answers. Yoon Mireille has been embedded with the Hive Workers Guild for over 10 years. If anyone would notice psychological patterns in alien behavior, it would be her." Within an hour, they had established a secure communication link with Mireille. Her image appeared on the main screen. A woman in her 40s with the kind of weathered face that came from years of living among aliens. She wore the standard work clothes of a Cathara Guild member, and her hair was styled in the practical manner preferred by the insectoid species. "Jae-ho," she said, her voice carrying a slight delay from the long-distance transmission. "It's been too long. What's this emergency about?" Dongwu explained their discovery about the star maps. Miri listened without interruption, her expression growing more thoughtful as he spoke. She said when he finished, "that explains something I've been puzzling over for months. The Kithara have been planning a major expansion into what they call the Empty Quarter, a region of space they claim has never been explored. Where exactly is this empty quarter? Park asked. Mireille consulted something off-screen. According to their charts, it's a large area of unexplored space containing approximately 40 star systems. But when I looked at the coordinates, she paused. Those are human colonies. New Beijing, Port Victoria, the entire Centauri sector. The implications hit everyone at once. The Cathara were planning to expand into human space, but they didn't realize it was human space because they couldn't perceive it as such. There's more, Mireille continued. I've been monitoring Cathara military communications. They have detailed invasion plans for several non-human species, complete with strategic analyses and troop deployment schedules. But I've never seen any military planning that mentions humans at all. Not as allies, not as enemies, not as neutral parties. It's like we don't exist in their strategic thinking. But they trade with us, Dongwu protested. They have embassies on Earth. Yes, but that's handled by different departments. Their trade ministry knows about humans. Their diplomatic corps knows about humans. But their military planners seem to have a complete blind spot when it comes to human territory and capabilities. Dr. Park was taking rapid notes. We need to bring in Dr. Choi Hyun-soo from Earth. He's the leading expert on xenopsychology. If we're dealing with some kind of species-wide mental condition, he'll understand it better than anyone. The next day, Dr. Choi joined their conference via quantum entanglement communication. He was a small, elderly man with thick glasses and the intense focus of someone who had spent his life studying alien minds. After reviewing all their evidence, Dr. Choi sat back in his chair with a troubled expression. What you're describing isn't natural, he said bluntly. Mental blocks this specific and this widespread don't develop by accident. This has to be artificially induced. What do you mean? Dongwu asked. I mean someone or something is deliberately preventing alien species from properly perceiving human space. The pattern is too consistent, too complete. Every major species affected in exactly the same way? That's not evolution or natural psychology. That's engineering. But who could do something like that? Park wondered. And why? Dr. Choi adjusted his glasses. Those are the important questions. Whoever is responsible has technology far beyond anything we understand. They're manipulating the minds of entire civilizations across thousands of light years. The scale alone is almost impossible to comprehend. Mireille's voice came through the speakers. I can do some digging on my end. The Kithara have excellent historical records. Maybe there's something in their archives about when this started? Good idea, Jeho agreed. I'll check with my other contacts. If this is affecting all alien species, someone must have noticed the pattern before. As their meeting ended, Dongwu felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. They had stumbled onto something that could change everything they thought they knew about humanity's place in the galaxy. The question was whether that change would be for better or worse. Captain, Park said quietly after the others had signed off, what if this mental block is the only reason humans have been successful in galactic politics? What if without it, every alien species would see us as a threat to be eliminated? It was a disturbing thought. But Dongwu knew they had to pursue the truth regardless of the consequences. Then we'll deal with that when we find it, he said. But first we need to understand what's really happening here. The investigation was just beginning, but already Dongwu could sense that the answers they found would reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. Engineer Han Wu-jin had always been the type of person who saw patterns where others saw chaos. As the Horizon's Edge's systems specialist, he spent his days organizing data, tracking maintenance schedules, and keeping everything running smoothly. So when Captain Dongwu asked him to analyze historical records for anomalies, Wu-jin approached the task with his usual methodical precision. What he found made his hands shake as he called up the captain's communication channel. Captain, you need to see this, Wu-jin said, his voice tight with excitement and fear. I've been going through our historical databases, cross-referencing first contact reports with timeline data. The pattern didn't start when we met the aliens. It started the moment we achieved faster-than-light travel. Dongwu arrived in the engineering section within minutes, followed closely by Dr. Park. Wu-jin had spread holographic displays across every available surface, creating a three-dimensional timeline of human space exploration. Look at this, Wu-jin said, pointing to a cluster of data points. 237 years ago, the UES discovery made humanity's first FTL jump. The destination was Proxima Centauri, but look at what happened next. The display showed a series of exploration reports from that era, Ship after ship reported the same phenomena. Strange energy readings that vanished when they approached. Phantom signals that disappeared the moment human sensors locked onto them. And most importantly, evidence of recent alien activity that seemed to evaporate whenever humans arrived. The early explorers thought it was equipment failure, Wu Jin continued. But now, knowing what we know about the mapping issue, I think something else was happening. Every time humans entered a new system, that system became invisible to alien perception. Dr. Park studied the data carefully. You're suggesting that our expansion triggered some kind of automatic response? Something that hides human presence from alien minds? Not just hides it, Wu Jin said, bringing up more recent data. Watch this. The display showed comparative analysis of alien trade routes over the past century. Every time humans establish a colony or outpost, alien shipping routes slowly shift to avoid that area. Not because they're afraid of us or because we've restricted access. They just stop thinking of those regions as viable paths. The implications were staggering. For over 2 centuries, humanity had been unknowingly protected by some kind of galactic defense system that activated automatically whenever they expanded into new territory. Captain Dong Wu opened a communication channel to Luna, where archivist Lim Da-un maintained the most complete historical records of human space exploration. Da-un was a meticulous researcher who had spent decades organizing humanity's expansion into the galaxy. Archivist Lim, Dong Wu said when her image appeared on the screen, "We need your help with something unusual. We're looking for early exploration records that mention unexplained phenomena." Da-un's eyes lit up with interest. She had always been fascinated by the mysteries of human exploration. What kind of phenomena? Phantom signals, disappearing energy readings, any reports of alien activity that vanished when human ships approached. "Oh, those reports," Da-un said, her expression shifting to one of recognition. "I have thousands of them. Early explorers called them ghost contacts or shadow signatures. The official explanation was equipment malfunction or spatial anomalies. But the patterns were always too consistent for random error. Can you send us the files?" Dr. Park asked. "Already compiling them," Da-un replied, her fingers dancing over unseen controls. "But Captain, there's something else you should know. I've been researching these reports for years and I found something interesting. The phenomena always occurred in systems that later became important human colonies or strategic positions. The data arrived within the hour, and the team spent the rest of the day analyzing it. The pattern was undeniable. Every major human world, every strategic outpost, every important colony had been preceded by reports of vanishing alien activity. It's like something was clearing the way for us," Wu Jin said, staring at the compiled data, making sure we found the best systems, the most valuable resources, the most strategic positions. That evening, Commander Seo Tai-hyung contacted them via secure military channel. As the head of Terran Defense Intelligence, Seo had access to classified information that civilians never saw. His face on the screen was grim but not surprised. "Captain Dongwu," Seo said, "I understand you've been investigating anomalies in alien star charts. I think it's time you knew about Project Silent Shield." "Never heard of it," Dongwu replied. "Because it was classified above your clearance level. For the past 50 years, our military analysts have been puzzled by alien strategic planning. Every species we've encountered has detailed military plans for dealing with other alien threats. But their invasion scenarios and defense strategies never account for human positions or capabilities." Dr. Park leaned forward. "You mean they plan military operations as if we don't exist?" "Exactly. The Kithra have invasion plans for Valari space that route their fleets directly through human systems, but the plans don't mention us at all. The Netherans have defensive strategies that leave massive gaps where our fleets are positioned, as if they can't perceive us as a military factor." Commander Seo brought up classified strategic analyses. "We've been able to predict alien military movements with frightening accuracy because they consistently ignore human forces in their planning. At first we thought they were underestimating us. Now I'm beginning to think they literally cannot perceive us as a strategic factor. This goes beyond military planning," Wu Jin said, sharing his timeline data with the commander. "The effect started the moment we achieved FTL travel. Something has been protecting humanity from alien perception since the beginning of our expansion." Commander Seo studied the data, his expression growing more troubled. If that's true, then humanity's success in galactic politics isn't entirely due to our own abilities. We've had an advantage we didn't even know about. The weight of that realization settled over everyone. Humanity had always prided itself on achieving equality with much older, more advanced alien civilizations through determination and skill. But now it appeared they had been helped by something that made them invisible to alien strategic thinking. We need to find out what's causing this, Dongwu said finally. If there's some kind of system or entity protecting us, we need to understand why. And we need to decide what to do with this knowledge, Dr. Park added quietly. Once we understand how this works, we'll have to choose whether to maintain this advantage or give it up. As the meeting ended, Captain Dongwu looked out at the stars visible through the engineering section's viewports. Somewhere out there was the answer to humanity's mysterious protection. The question was whether they were ready to learn the truth about their place in the galaxy. The investigation had revealed that humanity was not just successful, they were protected. But by what, and for what purpose, remained the greatest mystery they had ever encountered. Dr. Kang Yunji had spent her entire career studying the remnants of ancient civilizations, but she had never seen anything like the facility they had discovered in the Kepler 442 system. The massive structure orbited a dead star in the outer rim, its dark metal surfaces covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change when viewed directly. The power readings are off the scale, she reported to Captain Dongwu via long-range communication. This thing has been dormant for millions of years, but it's still generating more energy than most star systems. The facility had been found by accident during a routine survey mission. When the exploration team approached, ancient systems had suddenly activated, responding to human presence in ways that defied explanation. That's when Earth Command had called in Dr. Kang, humanity's leading expert on precursor technology. Any idea what it does? Dongwu asked from his position aboard the Horizon's Edge. Still stationed at Centauri Trade Hub. I'm beginning to form a theory, Dr. Kang replied, her voice filled with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The central chamber contains what appears to be a quantum consciousness network. It's like a massive brain, but one that operates on principles we barely understand. She moved her portable scanner across the alien symbols, watching as they glowed in response. Captain, I think this facility has been monitoring galactic civilization for millions of years. And 3 days ago, when I first stepped inside, it woke up. The implications were staggering. Dr. Kang had been inside the facility for 72 hours, studying its systems and trying to understand its purpose. What she had discovered challenged everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the galaxy. The network identifies humans as something called the inheritors, she continued. From what I can understand of these records, this facility was built by a species called the precursors. They ruled the galaxy millions of years ago, but they voluntarily transcended physical existence. Dr. Park, who had been listening to the transmission, spoke up. Transcended? What does that mean? I'm not entirely sure, Dr. Kang admitted. But before they left, they programmed this network to watch over the galaxy and protect their chosen successors. According to these records, they selected humanity as their inheritors long before we even existed. The conversation was interrupted by an emergency call from Ambassador O.G. Sung on Earth. His face appeared on a secondary screen. Looking tired and stressed, Captain Dongwu, we have a situation, Ambassador O said without preamble. I'm in emergency sessions with representatives from every major alien civilization. Some of them are starting to remember. Remember what? Human space, our territories, our military positions. The mental block is weakening, and aliens are beginning to question why their maps have blank spaces where our colonies should be. This was exactly what they had feared. If the protection system was failing, humanity could suddenly find themselves facing the combined attention of every alien civilization in the galaxy. How bad is it? Dongwu asked. Mixed reactions, Ambassador O replied. The Valari are confused but not hostile. They're treating it like a fascinating puzzle. The Nethrons are more concerned. They're worried about security implications. But the Kithara, he paused. The Kithara are angry. They feel deceived. Dr. Kang's voice came through the communication system with urgency. Captain, the network is responding to these changes. It's showing me more information. I think I understand what's happening. She activated a holographic display that showed a representation of the galaxy, with streams of energy connecting different star systems. This network has been subtly influencing alien psychology for millions of years, but it was designed to be temporary. The precursors intended for their successors to eventually choose whether to rule through hidden influence or lead through open cooperation. "You're saying we have a choice?" Dr. Park asked. "More than that," Dr. Kang replied. "The network is forcing us to choose. As humanity grows stronger and more confident, the psychological barriers protecting us become weaker. We're reaching a point where we either embrace our role as the precursors' inheritors or give up the protection entirely." General Bei Young-ho's voice suddenly joined the conversation as military communication channels were patched into the discussion. "Dr. Kang, can you explain exactly what embracing our role would mean?" "The network is offering us control," Dr. Kang said, her voice heavy with the weight of the decision. "Complete control. We could make every alien species in the galaxy psychologically incapable of opposing us. They would follow human leadership without question, not because they chose to, but because they would be unable to conceive of any alternative." The silence that followed was profound. Everyone understood the magnitude of what they were being offered, and the moral implications of accepting it. "What happens if we refuse?" Dongwu asked. "The protection disappears completely," Dr. Kang replied. "Every alien civilization will suddenly see human space clearly for the first time. They'll realize how much we've expanded, how strategically positioned our colonies are, how we've been present in their strategic blind spots for centuries. Some will respect us for not abusing our advantage. Others will see us as a threat that needs to be eliminated." General Bei finished grimly. Ambassador O's image flickered as his communication experienced interference. "I'm seeing the effects already. 3 different alien species have requested emergency military conferences. They want to discuss the human question, as they're calling it." Dr. Kang's scanners began beeping frantically. "Captain, the network is requiring a response. It won't wait indefinitely for humanity to decide. The longer we delay, the more unstable the entire system becomes." "How long do we have?" Dongwu asked. "Days, maybe hours." The network was designed by beings who thought in geological timescales, but it's been operating for millions of years beyond its intended lifespan. Our presence has reactivated it, but the strain is enormous. As if to emphasize her point, the lights in the ancient facility flickered, and several alien symbols went dark. "I'm uploading everything I've learned to Earth Command," Dr. Kang said. "But Captain, I want you to know, the network isn't making this choice for us. It's simply offering us the tools. The precursors designed it this way deliberately. They wanted their successors to choose their own path. The weight of decision hung over everyone involved in the conversation. Humanity stood at a crossroads that would determine not just their own future, but the fate of galactic civilization. They could accept the role of hidden rulers, reveal themselves and hope for the best, or try to find some middle path that preserved both their safety and their integrity. "Dr. Kang," Dongwu said finally, "keep monitoring the network. Everyone else, we need to get this information to Earth's leadership immediately. This is too big for any one ship or one person to decide." As the communication ended, Dr. Kang stood alone in the ancient facility, surrounded by the technology of beings who had faced this same choice millions of years ago. She wondered what decision the precursors had made, and whether humanity would prove worthy of the trust they had placed in a species that didn't even exist when they built this incredible system. The emergency session in Earth's Global Council chambers had been going for 18 hours straight. President Ryu Sang-min looked exhausted as he reviewed the reports one more time. Representatives from every major human government, military leaders, scientists, and philosophers had gathered to make the most important decision in human history. Captain Lee Dongwu sat at the main briefing table, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. His simple investigation into alien star maps had led to this moment where humanity had to choose its destiny among the stars. "Let me make sure I understand this correctly," President Ryu said, addressing the room. "We have inherited a system that makes us essentially invisible to alien strategic thinking. We can either embrace this advantage and become the secret rulers of the galaxy, or give it up and face the consequences of full visibility." Dr. Kang Eun-ji, appearing via holographic transmission from the precursor facility, nodded grimly. "That's correct, Mr. President. The network is demanding a decision. Every hour we delay makes the system more unstable. Admiral Huang Sujin, the head of Earth's military forces, stood to address the council. She was a tall, stern woman with silver hair, and the kind of presence that commanded immediate attention. With respect, Mr. President, this should not be a difficult choice, Admiral Huang said firmly. We have been offered the greatest strategic advantage in galactic history, the ability to guide civilization without the chaos and bloodshed that comes from open conflict. We would be foolish to refuse. You're talking about mind control, Dr. Park So-young protested from her seat near Captain Dongwu, making entire species unable to think freely about humanity. How is that different from slavery? It's different because it prevents war, Admiral Huang replied. How many billions of lives could we save by ensuring that galactic conflicts never involve human space? How much suffering could we prevent by having the ability to guide alien civilizations away from destructive paths? Dr. Choi Hyun-soo, the xenopsychologist who had been studying the mental effects on alien species, shook his head. Admiral, you're assuming we would use this power responsibly forever. But power corrupts, especially absolute power. Within a generation, humans would begin to see alien species as inferior beings to be managed rather than equals to be respected. The debate had been raging for hours, with compelling arguments on both sides. President Ryu looked to Captain Dongwu, whose investigation had started everything. Captain, you've been at the center of this discovery from the beginning. What's your opinion? Dongwu stood slowly, aware that every person in the room was watching him. Mr. President, I keep thinking about Crystal Singer Thane, the Valari diplomat I questioned about the star maps. When I asked him about human space, he couldn't think clearly. His crystal skin went transparent, something I'd never seen before. He was confused, almost frightened, by his own inability to process a simple question. He paused, looking around the room. That's what we're talking about preserving. The ability to make intelligent beings unable to think clearly about us. Is that really the foundation we want for human civilization among the stars? Ambassador Oji Sung, who had been monitoring alien reactions from his position at the Galactic Trade Council, spoke up via communication link. Captain Dongwu is right to be concerned, but we need to consider the alternatives. I'm receiving reports that several alien military forces are already mobilizing. The Cathera, in particular, are viewing the revelation of human space as a massive security threat. How many ships? Admiral Huang asked immediately. 3 full battle fleets so far, with more being assembled. They're not moving toward human space yet, but they're clearly preparing for the possibility of conflict. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. The choice was becoming more urgent by the hour. General Bae Young-ho, head of Terran Strategic Command, brought up a holographic display showing current galactic military positions. If we refuse the network's offer, we'll face the combined attention of every alien civilization simultaneously. Some may be friendly, but others will see us as a threat that has been hiding in their strategic blind spots for centuries. But if we accept the network's offer, Dr. Park countered, we become the very thing that many alien species fear, a hidden power controlling their thoughts and decisions. We become the galactic tyrants. President Ryu rubbed his temples, feeling the pressure of making a decision that would affect billions of lives across thousands of star systems. Dr. Kang, is there any middle ground? Any way to partially maintain the protection while allowing aliens to see us clearly? I've been exploring that possibility, Dr. Kang replied from the ancient facility. The network is incredibly sophisticated, but it was designed for a binary choice. The precursors believed that partial solutions would be unstable and temporary. As the debate continued, Captain Dongwu found himself thinking about the early human explorers who had unknowingly benefited from the network's protection. They had ventured into space believing they were succeeding through their own courage and skill. Now humanity faced the choice of whether to continue that success through hidden manipulation or face the galaxy as equals. There's something else to consider, Dr. Kang said, her voice cutting through the arguments. The network has been operating for millions of years beyond its intended lifespan. Even if we choose to embrace the system, there's no guarantee it will continue to function much longer. We might accept the moral burden of galactic control only to lose that control within a few decades. President Ryu stood and walked to the large window overlooking Earth's sprawling capital city. Below, millions of humans went about their daily lives, unaware that their species' future was being decided in this room. "Captain Dongwu," the president said without turning around. "If we make you the deciding vote, what would you choose?" The captain felt every eye in the room focusing on him. This was not a decision he had ever wanted to make. But circumstances had placed him at the center of humanity's greatest crossroads. "Mr. President," Dongwu said slowly, "I think about what humanity has accomplished in just a few centuries of space travel. We've built colonies, established trade relationships, created art and music that aliens find beautiful, and solved problems that older civilizations couldn't manage. We did all of that believing we were succeeding on our own merits." He looked around the room, meeting the eyes of admirals, scientists, and political leaders. "Maybe some of our success was due to the network's protection, but our achievements were real. Our creativity, our determination, our ability to find peaceful solutions, those came from us, not from some ancient machine." "Your point, Captain?" Admiral Huang asked impatiently. "My point is that if we accept the network's offer, we'll never know what humanity could truly achieve. We'll spend the rest of our existence wondering if our success is real, or just the result of alien minds being manipulated, and eventually that doubt will destroy us from within." President Ryu nodded slowly. "You're saying we should face the galaxy honestly, even if it means facing conflict. I'm saying we should trust in what humanity has already proven it can do. We found peaceful solutions with alien species when they could perceive us clearly. We built trade relationships and diplomatic ties that benefited everyone. Maybe we can do it again even without the network's protection." The room fell silent as everyone considered his words. Finally, President Ryu turned back to face the assembly. "Dr. Kang, tell the network that humanity chooses transparency. We will face the galaxy as equals, not as hidden rulers. Shut down the protection system." Admiral Huang started to protest, but the president held up his hand. "The decision is made. Captain Dongwu, your investigation has given humanity the knowledge to make this choice. Now you get to help us live with the consequences." As Dr. Kang began the process of deactivating the ancient network, Captain Dongwu felt a mixture of fear and hope. Humanity was about to step into an uncertain future, but it would be their own future built on their own choices and achievements. The age of hidden protection was ending. The age of humanity standing openly among the stars was about to begin.